This is CRM Audio, the Microsoft Dynamics CRM podcast, with George Dubinsky, Joel Lindstrom, and Sean, the CRM Hobbit Tabor.
This episode of CRM Audio is sponsored by Kingswaysoft. Their SSIS integration toolkit comes from lessons that they learned from working on many large-scale CRM data integration projects. Kingswaysoft has adapters for the entire Dynamics family, including CRM, GP, AX, SL, NAV, and also Dynamics Marketing, Parature, and non-dynamic sources like Salesforce.com, Oracle, QuickBooks, and online cloud storage like OneDrive and Dropbox. Kingswaysoft brings you cost-effective, codeless integration development with unparalleled performance. Compared with other CRM integration options, they provide more features for a lower price. You can download a free trial from Kingswaysoft.com. That's KINGSWAYSOFT.com. We thank Kingswaysoft for their support of CRM Audio.
First thing, George, is I came home today and I got my mail, and in the mail was my brand new issue of the CRM UG magazine. As I was reading through here, I come to page 35, and none other than George Dubinsky is there, walking down the hall in a medic coat.
Medic coat? I thought I was wearing scrubs.
No, in this one you're walking down the hall wearing the medic coat. You know, if I was in the hospital and looked down the hall and my doctor was coming and I saw you, I would ask for more painkiller.
Thank you for the vote of confidence.
It also includes a very nice picture of Gus Gonzalez that would be perfect to cut out and put on your dartboard or something. You're in Canada. You're in Canada this week, George. What are you doing in Canada?
Freezing my body parts off.
So you left summertime in Australia because everything's backwards there, of course, and then came to Canada
Yes.
where it's freezing.
So in Celsius, I went from plus 36 to minus 11, which even more impressive in Fahrenheit. I went something from 80 to 12. Well, I'm glad I'm not in Calgary or Winnipeg, where apparently in Winnipeg it's minus 45, which surprisingly equally minus 48 in Fahrenheit, so it's close. It's it's a point of where they intersect. So, it's minus 45 in Winnipeg, but it's still cold. So I'm teaching here. I was called at the last minute, emergency. I'm delivering some training at the local office.
Sean, how are you doing?
Yeah, so
I am doing fine. In Florida, it's 44 degrees.
Wow.
It's freezing.
In South Carolina, we actually had some snow today.
It's upside down, left is right, up is down. I don't know what's going on right now.
All right, so what we got on the news this week, Sean?
Well, a number of things. The first of which I saw in my investigations here. I saw some information about the updated version of Convergence called Envision. From Convergence being a Dynamics-focused conference, whereas Envision, from everything I'm seeing on the website and all the marketing materials, it's much more of a business leadership kind of trend and new technologies in how the Microsoft stack can impact those things. So it's getting away from necessarily the Dynamics. I'm sure Dynamics will be included in it, but it'll be more part and parcel of the entire experience than the main focus. And Satya Nadella will be the keynote speaker at that event. So I'm wondering how that is really going to change, not only for the customers going, but for the partners that would be normally engaged in that as well.
Well, I've been to Convergence a number of times. George and I both have worked at the Microsoft CRM booth and answered people's questions. Also in the past, CRM UG had things like training classes mixed in there. And Convergence for years was the General Dynamics Conference, and so you had different tracks. You had technical tracks. You had business tracks. A lot of partners used it as a networking place where you would go and have your customer appreciation dinner, and you would network with Microsoft people and VPs and things like that. It was kind of a mix, and you'd have technical people there. Scott Sewell and I have done reporting sessions there and things like that. Starting last year, it seemed to kind of start to shift, and they broke off all the technical stuff to what they had last year was the Dynamics Technical Conference. Still had some functional user stuff, but reading the blog post announcing the Envision conference, it appears that they are further trying to segment the focus of the conferences. So now they've said that basically Convergence is going to be executive business leader conference with, like you said, technology trends and just general Microsoft, how Microsoft can help you kind of conference. Ignite is going to be all the technical content, including CRM, and user-focused content is going to be at the CRM-UG conference.
Yeah, and what it looks like is you're definitely going to see at Envision, you're going to see more of the coming technologies, the bigger picture stories like big data, analytics, Internet of Things of that nature, as opposed to what's new in CRM, what's new in Nav, what's new in AX. And but I'm wondering, would you see those kind of announcements? Like, let's say that 2016 was coming out in this time frame rather than when it did. Would you see that kind of announcement at Envision, or would you see it more at something like Ignite?
Convergence was always the big, customer awards as well, where our customers and other partners' customers who had done really good things were awarded by Microsoft, and so if this is shifting away from a Dynamics focus, I've got to wonder, are they still going to do that? And specifically for Dynamics, the other question that I haven't really seen discussed anywhere, but looking at other Microsoft conferences outside the Dynamics world, is Salesforce, due to the partnership with Microsoft, is having very large presences at these conferences. And so, I can envision that at the Envision conference, you're going to have a big Salesforce booth on the booth floor, and if you have prospective clients that in the past you would say go to Convergence and get, drink the Dynamics Kool-Aid, are you going to want them to go if they will possibly get exposed to Salesforce.com and other non-Dynamics competitors? Right.
It really is an interesting change in the landscape for Dynamics customers and partners to really understand where the rubber is going to hit the road now. Because customers clearly don't go to Worldwide Partner Conference in droves. Typically something like Ignite or what used to be, what did it used to be called? I can't remember what it was used to be called, but
TechEd.
There you go, TechEd. Thank you.
You're not a real developer, apparently.
So. Yes, I know I'm not at all. Now, and that's not something businesses would send someone that aren't developers. Product managers, business analysts, product owners, things of that nature, where they would have normally went to Convergence. Where do they go now? Where does Microsoft want them to go? I guess is the question. Or will you see more things like how at Hitachi we have our own internal customer conference for our customers, and you'll see more of that happening? Or will you start seeing maybe regional things offered by Microsoft? It's an interesting kind of change in the way things are happening.
Well, I know conferences are very expensive, and looking at it, from Microsoft's perspective, I can imagine that having this be more of a general business leader conference, a couple of things. You'll have more of a presence of Windows and Office and Microsoft technologies outside of Dynamics. You probably also get more press coverage as well than you would for a strictly Dynamics conference, which outside of our world typically isn't as is kind of viewed as kind of boring business software, ERP kind of stuff,
Right.
versus, the more flashy, maybe mobile, maybe, Office, things like that generally get more press than business software does.
And it is interesting that Satya Nadella will be the keynote to kick off this new this change in the process. So
how about you, George, as somebody who's more of an ISV than we are you going to, or is your company going to set up a booth, or would you be as likely to go and pay to exhibit at the Envision conference that is general versus something more focused on just Dynamics?
I thought of coming as a sponsor to Convergence, but when I heard about change to Envision and the direction it's taken, I'll have a pass this time around just to see where it's going. I might go myself as just a delegate, just to see what's going on, and then make up my mind for. I presume that we'll have EMEA conference as well. So, and then if it's applicable, to go as a sponsor to EMEA. But for now, my focus will be Extreme CRM, because that's where ISVs and some of the partners go. I actually expect this conference to grow as a result of change from Convergence to Envision.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's always CRM UG. I will go, definitely, because it's a unique and it's user focus conference. Yeah. So it's not about partners. It's not about Microsoft or customer. It's about users.
To me, the exhibitor floor at CRM UG has grown close to what it used to be at Convergence. So I think yes. As far as that's the happening place for strict dynamic stuff. And plus, the added attraction is Sean will be there this year because it's in Tampa, his backyard. So
you betcha. You betcha I'll be there.
By definition.
It's time I finally get to a CRM UG conference.
Here you go.
What else do we have in the news?
Well, there's something that I came across, and I know that in later this year, especially for partner competencies, the changes in the certifications are coming. And, next month we're going to have the release of the 2016 certification tests, the 2016 customization and configuration, installation, as well as the online deployment and customer service, and lastly, sales certs for 2016. I'm in the process personally of refreshing my certs. I did not go in and get 2015, so my 2013 certs are going to expire in September. So the question I would have for both of you, because I think this is an interesting kind of concept, do you wait? Do you go into 2016 and take those exams? Or do you take 2015 because those will be good for at least 2 years? And given the cycle of, like we talked about, the agile train, given the cycle of releases, it's very possible that you could have new certification exams, a whole new set every year.
Yep.
So then do you put yourself on a every other year basis? Do you pick out certain exams to cherry pick each year to year? So maybe you get applications, customization, and configuration every other year, but you get online deployment every year. I was curious to hear what your guys' thoughts were on how you would approach that, and what makes the most sense just for you individually.
If you want to work as a CRM consultant, or if you are a CRM administrator, getting certification makes sense. I don't think it replaces experience. I think it can be your foot in, and also if you work as a partner and maybe you've been a consultant for several years and you're working on a long project with, say, an older version of the software and are not experienced with the new stuff, it's a great way to kind of force yourself to play with it and get up to speed. Now, tell me again, how are they splitting it out? I knew they were splitting it out, but what are the tests going to be for 2016?
Okay, so for 2016, we're going to have exam, the MD2 712, which is customization and configuration for 2016. Then they're going to have exam 714, which is customer service. Exam 713 is sales. 710, which is online deployment. And then 711, which is installation.
The application exam needed to be split up because it had basically all these sales, marketing, customer service, and it was so broad that, in my opinion, it didn't really adequately test your knowledge in any one area. So I think that's good.
It tricked you into questions that maybe you haven't implemented, like service scheduling. It made you study up on those questions a lot to figure out how to answer those.
Right. So here's my question, though, is now that we're segmented into Field 1 and Parature and Dynamics Marketing, that gets a little foggy to me now, how you have a customer service exam. Because, does that include Parature and does that include Field 1, or is that still core CRM functionality? And what really is core CRM now that, for example, CRM Online comes with Field 1? That's where it gets a little bit foggy to me, because, for example, the marketing content, I believe, was starting to go to Dynamics Marketing anyway.
Well, in the marketing exam 709 is specifically for Dynamics Marketing.
So then that leaves people who are using core CRM that still need to do marketing lists. There's no test that tests that functionality now.
It doesn't seem like that, but because for example, the skills measured in the marketing exam are applied integrated marketing management solution concepts. Set up and configure the application, create and track and measure multi-channel marketing communication, generate and manage marketing leads, automate marketing campaigns, integrate Microsoft Dynamics Marketing with CRM, manage marketing finance. So it kind of doesn't look like the out-of-the-box functions. There could be some sprinkled in there, but it really does feel much more like a Dynamics Marketing.
There's one person on this podcast who's a real trainer, and that's George. So, George, what do you think?
Look, I personally find exams necessary evil.
Yeah, absolutely.
I believe that the way they're structured and the way they're presented, currently there is a little value in them. It's better than nothing, let me be clear. It's better than nothing, and it's a really difficult field. I strongly believe that unless you find to create face-to-face exams, like Cisco does, the value of examination is going to be diluted by people, learning the questions and buying the questions online and learning the answers and so forth. So to me personally, look, I've been in this world long enough. I pass exams only when I have to, like when I need certification to be renewed or something like that. I find little value to advance my knowledge. But then again, on a broader scale, let's put it this way, I wouldn't hire anyone who claimed that they passed the exams, but I would find it a reasonable size plus on someone's resume.
Right. It shows that they actually have pursued knowledge. And
correct. Yes. It's not about them passing the exam. It's more about them finding time, being organized, and finding time to learn and finding time to attend and, convincing their boss to pay for it, whatever they've done. But it takes a bit of organization, takes about a bit of pursue, the perseverance, if you will, to pass it. To test their knowledge, I just need, 20 minutes one-on-one with them.
Right.
That's how I test their knowledge, not because they passed the exam.
Right. So I'll put it this way: if I'm interviewing two people as a junior CRM consultant, and one has certifications and one doesn't, and everything else being equal, the person with the certifications has the upper hand a little bit because they have put more effort into it. And so again, it's not going to be the golden ticket by any stretch. Experience is more valuable. But again, if you are somebody who's worked in the industry for years and is still in the 2011 land or early 2013 land, go for your 2016 exam. I think online deployment is actually, and again, I'm not going to give any details about the test. I think it's a good thing because getting into how you license CRM Online, the Office 365 administration side of things, that's good stuff to know these days. And the customization exam, it was good because it shows that you have a knowledge of the broad customization capabilities inside there. Application can be, but again, I find to me the application exam shows that you know something about these functions, but doesn't to me tell me that you know exactly how they work or how to use them in the real world. Because that's the other thing is sometimes I find the skill sets for how you install something or how you configure something is very much a true or false thing versus I haven't taken the certification exam, so I'm not saying anything specific, but generally speaking, the application type exams are typically more what's the best way to XYZ, and I'm always thinking, well, depends on if this is true or this is true or this is true, but you have to know, kind of put yourself in the mindset of the courseware that says the textbook answer, where in the case of application functionality, the textbook is not necessarily equivalent to real world.
Right, and that mainly what happens there is there's an art to implementation that in the real world, whereas the test is really looking at the science. What is the what is the path of least resistance? What is the recommended Microsoft path in a vanilla kind of no real requirements defined scenario? So basically, to sum this up, what I'm hearing is, if you're like me, and you need to update your certs because your certs are going to retire at the end of this year, do the latest rev, and then you're going to need to look at things like online deployment. Maybe you update that every year, maybe depending on the test and depending on your job function. But other things like customization, configuration, applications, that kind of thing, maybe that's an every other year.
Right.
Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I think that's fair. If you're 2 or 3 versions behind, get them updated. Next, I think we have one more news story, and that's the Voice of the Customer preview. And George,
yes, that's right.
North America only. So
sorry, George.
I have installed the solution in one of my environments. Couple things is, as I understand it, it requires you have 1 seat of enterprise, which is more expensive, and it's very powerful. My first feedback is UI for designing the surveys feels a little bit rough. It's got a lot of functionality, but when you go to create a new survey, you're presented with a form full of fields. And there's everything from themes, logo, you can put custom CSS, header, footer, a lot of powerful functionality. But in my opinion, the functionality is there, but the UI to design the survey could use a little bit more streamlining. And I'm thinking people are going to be using free to low-cost solutions like SurveyMonkey or something like that have UIs that guide you through creating the survey. And compared to this, at least in the preview form, you have to know what you're doing and which fields do what. And it's pretty clear. There's your theme, your logo. The obvious things are mixed in with some things that are not necessarily so obvious what they mean, such as a unique survey URL description. I can figure out what that is, and there is documentation. But I think it's a great thing, and it's and I would compare it to something like goals in CRM 2011, which was a great feature, very powerful, but did put some people off because of the complexity of it didn't feel intuitive to set it up.
Oh, whilst we're talking about non-intuitive stuff, I have a brilliant quote got from one of my customers up a bit north in Australia on the central coast. Hi guys, if you're hearing, if you're listening this podcast, So we were talking about dialogues. I got an absolutely wonderful campaign that I'm paraphrasing a bit. I was told that dialogues are like pugs. They're really, really ugly, but people who can look beyond their appearance, they find them adorable and they grow to unconditionally love them.
Did you say Daleks? Like Doctor
Pugs.
Who Daleks?
Dialogues are like pugs.
Oh, God. Okay.
No,
dialogue.
not Daleks. Dialogue.
No, I swear to God, this whole time I thought he was saying how Daleks.
No, you're watching too much Doctor Who, Mr.
Clearly. And I'm saying to myself, how in God's name do you find them adorable? I don't understand.
So
I
if,
do
if,
find
if
them adorable
the
too,
Daleks
Mikey.
had a conversation, would it be the Daleks?
Oh, Joel. No. Sorry, George. Go, please continue.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I find Daleks adorable too. So.
All right. Well, I'll let you have that one then. All right.
No, I get that. I was just having a conversation with somebody else that dialogues. I did some really cool dialogues back in the day, not so long ago, as a matter of fact, where we had a process that took a client's meeting report process through a 3-step dialogue, and in the process it could create follow-up tasks, create opportunities, close the meeting out, lots of stuff. But I've never had anybody just say at the end of the process, I love this dialogue, because you're right, the UI it looks like Soviet military, or like Soviet architecture. It's very sparse, gray,
and yet impressive and scary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, exactly.
So what was the quote again, George?
So dialogues are like pugs. They're really ugly, but people who can look beyond their appearance, they actually find them adorable and come to love them unconditionally.
Right. So it looks
I'm a big fan of those. I agree. The UI needs a refresh.
Are you talking about pugs or dialogues?
Dialogues.
And Daleks. I think if you look at the task-based processes that are in the mobile client, I think they have the potential to be what dialogues should have been from the beginning, or should have grown into, because they're the role-based wizard, if you will. And we've done some things with some clients that they did not like the mobile client before they brought this in. Now users love it, because again, it's taking something and giving them for their role step-by-step wizard in a very intuitive and attractive way with nice images and everything. So maybe the pug will rise again as a beautiful, whatever beautiful dog breed is.
Poodle? I don't know.
A beautiful poodle.
Whatever a beautiful dog breed is.
The other thing that I've been reading on Twitter, and I want to get your take on it, George, people like Paul Thurrott and others who follow Microsoft and usually are Microsoft fans have been complaining pretty loudly about their Surface Books. Supposedly with the Surface Book and the Surface 4, there's supposedly some big firmware issues that in some cases make them boot slowly or make them suddenly turn off. Have you had any issues with it, or there's display driver issues too, that when you're doing
didn't have any
graphically
crashes
intensive stuff, it crashes?
I didn't have any crashes yet. What I did notice, and I saw the blog, I saw the tweet you're talking about, and that were basically my gripe with it as well, because my wife has MacBook, and I know that it just sits on a table, and you come to it, you open it, and it just bang, it's on, right? And I open the Surface, and half of the time, I put it to sleep right before that. So, and then I open the Surface, and half of the time it comes up quickly, like within 2 seconds you got the login screen. But half the time it just sits there, then suddenly it spins the Surface logo, and then about 10-15 seconds later it does come up. So it's kind of strange, bizarre hibernate. It's not hibernation because it's got lots of memory. Hibernation would take much longer, and I disable hibernation. So and it's not out of batteries. So I don't know what it is. It's kind of bizarre, kind of winter sleep mode. It's kind of seems to be frozen, but then it unfreezes. So there are some bizarre signs in this world between sleep and no sleep. I think it's yet to be worked out, but overall, absolutely love it. I have to complain about anything is that resolution is a bit too high, so I had to bring it down and zoom in. It's just ridiculously high. It's like 3 by 2000.
Do you find do you have a docking station or do you plug it into an external monitor?
I did buy the new docking station, which is kind of 2 bricks, nothing to dock to. It's just you plug in you put it in the same port where the power plug is. So I find that I do have bricks. I actually bought bricks for home and for work, so I don't have to carry those around. But look, if we're in complaining mood, my only complaint about book, it's the same that was my complaint about Surface Pro. Now, we know that 90% of people in the world are right-handed, right?
Right.
So that means they use mouse. Where does the mouse go? On the right-hand side. Where's the power cord? On the right-hand side. What does it do? It always gets in the way.
Bump into it.
Continuously. It's like so annoying. Why didn't they think of that? It's like it always gets in the way. With Surface Pro, it's even worse because video connector is a bit high up. It's like towards on top of the left-hand side. So when you plug it in, when you present it to the customer, you've got this beautiful surface, and then you've got this ugly cable hanging off the right-hand side. So they really need to work on positioning of these connectors and power cables because it's really annoying to have it on the right-hand side. Seriously, it's seriously annoying.
Or you could market it as the best computer in the world for left-handed people.
Exactly. It's a feature.
But the one thing that I do miss, and I tell people to think twice if that's the feature you love, and you come to love it and you don't even notice that. When I detach the screen, and I detach it typically to either read something or draw or watch the movie. As I go to say on a couch or in bed and I would like to watch a movie or something else, I miss my stand, the kickstand. I miss it so much. Like it falls down and I say, hold on, where's my kickstand? I used to put it on my belly and put the kickstand and there you go. Now what? I have to grow a belly so it can stand? Like, it's really annoying. You won't believe how annoying it is not to have kickstand after you had one for a while. So yeah, I'd say that. Remember when Surface just appeared and there was a marketing, and the marketing was about a bunch of people kind of clapping with their kickstands. I have to say that's one of the best features of the Surface Pro. This little kickstand that allows you to take it around and put it anywhere you feel like.
Well, here's what you need, George. And I saw this on a plane, and if I hadn't seen this with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe somebody actually did this. But I was on a plane, and it was a late night flight, and the gentleman in the seat ahead of me on the other side, so I could see him, he came onto the flight with his iPad, and he wanted to watch a movie, and he had a roll of duct tape, and he took his iPad and duct taped it to the seat in front of him.
So where would I duct tape it? To my knees or to my belly?
I don't know, the wall or something.
Yeah, that's a good one. But someone else was saying that on the plane they had the Surface out. I don't remember who was that. They had the Surface out and they were told, no, you're not allowed to have that. It's a computer. He said, no, it's actually a tablet. I said, no, it's a computer. So he folded the keyboard back, and I said, no, it's still a computer. So he tore off the keyboard and said, what about now? And Chota said, yeah, now it's fine. So he was allowed to use it without the keyboard.
Well, and my Surface, I have a Surface Pro 3, and I have to take that, going through the airport TSA, I have to take that out of my bag. I cannot leave it in my bag. Because every single time it gets drawn. And I don't
know. I had mixed luck with the airport security. I always take my luck with the Surface. Not with this one. This one definitely looks like a laptop. But with Surface Pro, when I was traveling, I would take my luck. And it was kind of 70-30 in terms of 70% of the time going through.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not as world traveler as you are, George. I'm staying within the United States. And some of the TSA folks, they see a big fan and they think, uh-oh, it's a computer. And so I've just gotten to the point where that's probably my only complaint about the Surface Pro.
Oh, and this could be breaking news, I don't know, but Leon Tribe's latest blog, he's verified you can run CRM on your Xbox One.
Yes, because it runs IE 10. Or no,
I mean, we just acquired 10 million customers or users.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why you would want to do that, but good news if you want to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Leon tries different things. The other day he coded Hangman game in CRM. So
right.
There you go.
Leon's the only person I know who can make a game console more boring.
Well, now his next blog will be all the charts and graphs that he generates through the dashboards on his Xbox One.
Or maybe he's using that to justify for his employer why they should pay for his Xbox One.
Yeah, that would be clever.
Oh, that is clever. Why don't we? Well, we should get him on the podcast and ask him.
If only one of us lived in the same country as he did. So, when you wipe out your computer, what are the things that you immediately put back on there? Because when I wipe out my machine, I intentionally try and leave a lot of the junk off and start
That's
sparse.
Exactly what my intent to
start sparse,
keep,
but there's
to keep
and then install things as I need them, because a lot of things I installed and I needed it at one time and I don't need anymore, so it's a good way to clear out the clutter. So what are the things you find, and Sean too, when you say wipe your computer, or when you wipe your computer out, what are the things you put back on there right away?
Look, surprisingly, you know that there used to be a migration utility from like Windows 7 to Windows 7.
Yeah.
You do a massive backup of stuff, and then you restore this stuff. That doesn't exist for Windows 10, but when you log on back using the same account, so now I'm using Live ID to log on into my Windows, and surprisingly, a lot of stuff came back. Bookmarks, Wi-Fi passwords came back. So I'm going to the same like Wi-Fi spots, and suddenly, boom, it connects, right? It connected. What was bizarre, we went to Beach House where we haven't been for a year, right? And I completely forgot about it. And this password for this Wi-Fi traveled between two computers without me remembering it. It's just reconnected.
I saw that happen one time, and that kind of scared me. Like I'd gone to somebody's house, and it was when I had a Windows phone. I had connected to the Wi-Fi, and then I went back there, had my computer, and it knew it and logged on.
Look, I use machine for development a lot, so the first thing I do, I install some utilities like 7-zip, bread and butter. And I do it using the package manager, so I don't go download, install. I go and type like, install-package space 7-zip. Go. Press enter, then next. Okay, something else. So I don't wait, and I use package installer, so new feature of Windows 10. We did discuss it the other day. It uses Chocolati as one of the providers. So then I install Office. I do things like, one of my favorite tools, I think I did mention before, I restore source tree, so I have access to source code. OneDrive Dropbox. That's kind of gentleman's set that will get me going, because I get all the source code from source control, I get all my documents back. I kind of separate business documents, leave on Dropbox, private stuff I tend to keep on OneDrive. And I installed Slack because we use Slack to communicate with the team, and all 4 browsers. So that's kind of gets me.
Yeah, I'll do Office and OneDrive because all my stuff is in OneDrive. And I have some things in Dropbox, so I'll install Dropbox.
My gripe with new applications is that every single application tends to install their own version checker and updater, and sooner or later you end up with millions of applications starting their updaters. And when I look at startup, before I know, I've got AcroTray, Adobe Collaboration Synchronizer, Adobe Creative Cloud, Adobe Updater Startup Utility. Not just Updater, Startup Utility, right? I've got Google Installer, 4 of those. Why would they Crash Handler, 2 of those. iTunes Handler, Download Assistance. I understand when applications like OneDrive or Dropbox start, because they need to be there to synchronize your files.
Yeah.
Right? But then every single application starts installing, and I do remember clearly, I told Adobe, I don't want your updates. I will update when I want to. It just keeps going. Oh, and iTunes Helper.
The only thing I really reinstall is Office, the Office apps, and really SQL. My Surface, I wipe that thing clean and then log back in, and then everything comes back that I pretty much need. All my Windows apps, but they're all non-work stuff.
Do you use OneDrive?
Yeah, I got my entire family to use OneDrive.
Are you on Windows 10?
Yes.
How have you adapted to the change from the placeholders to the select the folders to sync thing?
No, it hasn't really affected me at all. I've always really selected just a couple of folders to sync, and I've done the same for my wife. We really just sync documents and pictures. So like when I take pictures on my iPhone, I upload them up to OneDrive, and then they're there on my Surface. Documents, same thing. Then I can get them on my phone. But that's pretty much all I ever sync to OneDrive. And then if I have stuff from my blog, then I'll, which I haven't really posted in a year and a half or so. But when I do,
waiting for that next post.
Yeah, but when I do, then I'll throw it up on the OneDrive and do a share. But that's really, I'm kind of Spartan in terms of how I use OneDrive. And then, before I blow away everything, I'll grab a copy of my favorites and throw it up on the OneDrive just so I have it, just in case it doesn't come back. But and then I guess the last thing I'd install would be Chrome.
Back with Windows 8 and 8.1 with the placeholders and how you could put your files there. I filled my OneDrive full, and you put a bunch of stuff on there. But moving to Windows 10 on my personal computer, at first it was really hard to get over not having the placeholders there. I've kind of changed my behavior and realized a lot of the stuff I put in there, I don't have to have up there. I mean, what am I keeping that for?
Right. Yeah, I have stuff from when I worked, 2 places ago that have to do with CRM 2011. I need to go in there and do some house cleaning, but for all intents and purposes, given the way that you can view the OneDrive files in Windows Explorer, that's my main way to use it. I hardly ever go into the actual app. I hardly ever log into the website. So I'm really only looking at those 2 folders, and I have probably 15 other folders on my OneDrive, but I never even look at them.
Here's a tool I discovered recently is Odrive, odrive.com. Christmas, Amazon has this deal where you can get $5 for a terabyte of online storage or something like that, which is, I have more storage than I could ever use, but my thought is I'm going to use that for kind of a backup of certain things like pictures that I have on OneDrive. But the problem is Amazon doesn't have a sync engine, so that's where their service is cheaper, and it's a lot, and consumer service wise, it's worse because compared to Dropbox or OneDrive that have a very convenient folder sync thing, you can upload your stuff, but there's no native. They used to have a Windows Sync app, but they don't have it anymore. And what this does is this is that missing sync app. It can actually do the placeholder thing like the Windows 8.1 OneDrive thing did, and you can actually use it with OneDrive. The placeholder thing was nice, but it actually failed me a couple of times where the link was there, but the file couldn't download, and I had to go manually download it. But what this lets me do then is I've got Odrive running pointed to my large and dirt cheap Amazon drive and sync my pictures there as well. It works very well. Kind of a cross-platform cloud drive sync engine. So, you could really set it up to your Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox, and Amazon, and kind of have the cross-platform sync engine. I've kind of synchronized my backups, which is really boring and probably stuff that most people wouldn't do. But for me, I'm pretty excited because now I've got a backup of a backup. And Odrive.com, that's a tool recommendation. And that's
there you go.
I tried it some time ago, and I wasn't impressed, but looks like they've gone a long way since then.
It works well with Amazon. I haven't tried it with connecting it to OneDrive or anything, but for Amazon, you don't have any other choice if you want to not just, the Amazon storage is, if you want something where you can just move stuff to the cloud and just access it there, it's okay. But if you want to actually have it be usable, Amazon Cloud plus Odrive is a reasonable.
Now what I'm looking to try it for is to use it as a long-term backup, where S3, you can move stuff to S3, but then with S3 you can set up folders and say, look, if I didn't touch that file, let's say for 6 months, move it to Glacier.
Yeah.
And Glacier has ridiculous redundancy, but it's a slow retrieve storage. So if you need that file now, you may not be able to get it. It's anywhere between 10 seconds and 4 hours to get the file back from Glacier. But as a long-term archive storage, I'm fine with that. But it's very, very cheap. Oh, I forgot to mention the application. It's a second application I installed, LastPass.
Okay. I have been playing with LastPass, and let me tell you my background. I have been a diehard 1Password user for a long time, and so I thought I'd give LastPass a try, and I like it. I'm not ready to switch from 1Password though, and I'll tell you why. Because the thing that I like about 1Password, the iPhone app is having it tied to Touch ID, which I don't know if LastPass is yet, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it is now. It is now.
Okay, well that's good. But also, LastPass, at least on Windows, doesn't have the built-in password generation.
It does.
It does?
Yeah.
Is there
more when you prompt it for password change, it offers you its services to change and save it.
Okay, because I found you could go to the website for LastPass and generate a password.
No, it's got. Sorry, I'm using Firefox add-in, and I know Chrome add-in also has this feature.
Okay, so if you add an add-in, okay.
Generate secure password, and it's got heaps of options.
Okay. With us this week is Daniel Kai. Daniel is what is your role, Daniel?
My role, I'm a principal developer at Kingswaysoft. I'm also playing the role as being database data integration architect.
And he owns the company, as I understand. So
that is right as well.
So Daniel, I know you got some new stuff that came out recently. Tell us about your audit trail thing.
So the audit extraction has been always a challenge because the auditing is not a structured way that give you easy access to pull data out, and you can do reporting. That capability is there in the SDK, but it's just not something for a typical user to consume. The challenge is to bridge this kind of information to be able to surface in any other application would be a challenge. So we try to offer a solution that help you to pull audit data from CRM in a structured way that you can do offline reporting or some other purpose depending on what you want to achieve.
That's awesome. It means we're going to have a time machine, finally.
I just was in a meeting today, and this happens regularly, where people hear about the audit trail and CRM, and they say, "Oh, great! I can use that to report on user adoption of my CRM system." And I always have to say, "Well, no, it's there for security reasons, but you can't really get to it." Now I can say, thanks to Daniel, you can get to it. I know reporting is a big thing. I know that a lot of times people will replicate a lot of data locally so they can compare and see, what changes have been made. Is this useful as maybe a alternative to that approach?
Yeah, that would be helpful in that situation, that you can keep track of what's been going on in your CRM system, which can be very valuable for you to determine your different perspective from business operation side.
Is this going to be part of your SSIS normal CRM adapter, or is it a separate thing?
It is one additional source type in the CRM source component, which is a part of the SS integration toolkit. So it's part of the product offer.
The other new thing I know came out recently is the cloud flat file adapter. Tell us about that.
We are releasing a whole new suite of flat file solution that helps to deal with cloud storage in a transparent way. So in a transparent way, you don't have to download the file and process it. We handle all that intricate details that we transparently get the file for you and read the file and process and put it back. So you pretty much use the SS in very simple way that you don't have to deal with a lot of download, upload, that kind of situation.
So I suspect what it sounds like to me, it's data loader done right.
It kind of takes me back to the not so long ago old days where people would put files, drop a file on an FTP server, and then we'd get off the FTP server. But now everybody's using cloud drives, so it kind of takes that concept into the modern day.
Absolutely. What I wanted to ask Daniel is, we had a chat in the car, and we were meant to meet yesterday, and Daniel was pushing for the release, and then I saw a tweet or post on the Facebook, and it was around, midnight? It was around midnight from Daniel, and Daniel was working hard trying to push the release. In the end of the day, you pushed it back and didn't release yet. But what I was going to ask is that, Daniel, you run small business, right? And I can relate to that. I run small business too. But in a small business, you don't have like hard deadline commitments and, marketing announcements that, on the, 20th of January, we're going to release brand new and then fail the deadline. The deadline is more for yourself. So why are you pushing so hard to get delivered, let's say, today or yesterday? You can take it easy. Okay, what difference does it make if you deliver 2 days later?
It's kind of our commitment to our clients. So we always try to make sure we stand out into the cloud in terms of having unique features in our solutions. So we want to get those new features out as soon as possible, so our client and partners can benefit from those features. So one of these features that are bringing into CRM is the audit extraction. And we have so many other enhancements in the new release that includes CRM 2016 and the SQL Server 2016 support. So we have so many other investments put in, so we want to get that kind of investment visible to our client and to the whole community.
Well, I have to say, I have to call Daniel on that, because in the car I heard a different story. In the car he told me that, you just want to get stuff out of the way. And that too, I suppose.
That's true, right.
One thing, Daniel, that we really appreciate about Kingswaysoft too is that you're always there with support for the new SDK features almost immediately when they come out. So like the change management features you had in there very quickly when there's changes to the bulk load API and things like that. You always have them there where other integration tool providers either don't take advantage of them, so there's these great new features and you can't use them, or you have to do custom development and you really take things that are complex like the audit trail thing and make it easy. I did have a suggestion, when Daniel was coming out with the cloud flat file feature. He was asking for name suggestions, and I suggested Cirrus because Cirrus clouds are the flat clouds. But I think he chose a better name anyway.
The other question I wanted to ask, I'm just browsing the site, and it seems to me that CRM, when you go to the products, and it's Kingswaysoft.com for anyone who doesn't know yet, and I'm browsing, and CRM is one of the flagship products, but there's so many other products on offer, and it's and there's Oracle and Salesforce and QuickBooks, and you've got AX and Envision, and then Marketo and HubSpot. Anyway, and then there's the Ultimate Edition, right? And the Ultimate Edition, as I understand, it's what it says, it's a single licensing key to enable all products. I have to ask, is there any company who uses all of these products? Why would I want to buy, it's a 15 or how many you've got connectors? 15, 16, maybe more or less?
Yeah, that's a very good point from George. So we come up with Ultimate Edition. It's trying to offer a cost-effective way when you want to work with a number of different applications. So if you buy more than 2 or 3, then your cost will be higher than actually buying Ultimate. So Ultimate is really cost-effective if you have more than, say, 3 adapters you want to use.
Okay, so it's more like a smorgasbord or buffet type of thing. It's like all you can eat, but really you want to eat, let's say, steak and chips, and that's what you pick. But it's it's great to see. We've got OneDrive, Parature. It's probably one of the few applications that actually releases Dropbox and OneDrive at the same time. Usually, even at Microsoft, you see Dropbox being delivered first. It's good to see that.
And you really are becoming, I think, the kind of de facto way of extending the Parature integration. I've heard Microsoft people working on the Parature team actually recommend that people use your adapter rather than the code they have.
Yeah, we have built a solution that we believe is substantially easy to use and also cost effective to get your job done.
Okay, what size of the companies tend to use Parature?
Oh, it could be a very large company. We have been working with one of the leading mobile service provider in US, and also we have heard from our clients using in the bank industry. There are so many of different category of users for Parature.
I do like the changes that Daniel and his team iterate on. It's nice to see timely enhancements and real functionality coming out of there.
The other thing that I've appreciated, because sometimes Microsoft introduces updates that break stuff. So like when an update for CRM Online has changed something and your integrations and affects it, you can always be sure that Daniel's going to come out with an update ASAP, so you're not left high and dry. Like some of our clients have been with some other stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, Daniel, one question I have is you have a Salesforce adapter, which has been very helpful in some of the clients who moved from Salesforce CRM. Do you have any Salesforce customers who are using that for other integrations to Salesforce, or is it mainly people migrating off of Salesforce to CRM that are using it?
Oh, we don't design the solution for that purpose, but that's probably good cause. But we do have a number of the Salesforce clients that include a pretty substantial large enterprise client, also bank client, a lot of in finance area as well. So finance and insurance. So yeah, it's not as the same scale as we have for Dynamics, but it's fairly decent.
Well, great. Well, Daniel, we really appreciate you coming on, and we appreciate your support of the CRM Audio podcast, the work you do on Kingswaysoft.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and looking forward to that new release with Audit. So did you decide on the name? Is it Audit Log or Audit Trail?
It's Audit Logs.
It's Audit Logs, so that's official. You heard it here first. So it's Audit Logs.
Thank you, and my pleasure.
Well, thanks, fellas.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and it's cold. That's all I can say. Good night.
All right, bye. This has been CRM Audio, the Microsoft Dynamics CRM podcast. You can hear previous episodes on our website, crm.audio. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, follow us on Twitter at CRM Audio, or leave us a comment on our Facebook page, facebook.com/CRM podcast. If you have any topic suggestions or questions that you would like for us to answer on a future episode, please drop us an email at voice@crm.audio. Special thanks to Dale Simmons for our theme music. Go check out his website, dalesimmons.com. Please join us next time on CRM Audio.